So the Federal Reserve has increased the interest rate from 5.25% to 5.5%. First, this affects the banks. So here's how it goes down, right? So now the banks have to borrow money from the Federal Reserve at a higher rate. And the bank is always still trying to make money. So just to even break even and maintain the same amount of growth, they have to increase interest rates for everybody who borrows from a bank. So here's an example. If a person who's running the feed mill now has to acquire seeds from somebody else who's also borrowing from the bank at a higher price, now they're going to sell the feed that they manufacture to the farmer for a higher price. Now the farmer is going to have to sell the breast, the wings, the thighs, the steaks, the ground beef, the hamburger patties to the grocery store for a higher price. And the grocery store, just to maintain their growth and just to break even, they'll have to go for a higher price. And who ends up paying for it all? Is the consumer, you and I. So this is the simplest way to explain how the Federal Reserve increasing the interest rate by 0.25, 1/4%, affects everything, and then it trickles down to us. And this is what happens to eggs, where they go from $2 a dozen to $2.50 a dozen. This is what happens to gas prices when it goes from $3.25 to $3.75. And this is the same thing that happens to Apple. This is the same thing that happens to Samsung. This is the same thing that happens to the car manufacturer, and then trickles down to the dealership, which trickles down to us. And this is the same thing that happens to everybody who owns a business and then therefore sells things to the consumers, you and I.